Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the league that means absolutely nothing on Go Again Gaming. My name is Ian.
And I'm Connor.
We are two Flesh and Blood players from Ireland, and today we have a game between Kayo, Armed and Dangerous, and Azalea, Ace in the Hole, from Carlos and Carlotta from Fabritorium.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. We like playing Flesh and Blood. I'm sure Carlos and Carlotta like playing Flesh and Blood, and we're really looking forward to talking some absolute nonsense over their gameplay.
Um, Thankfully, it is the league that means nothing, so there's no hard feelings on this team kill that's going on today.
Yeah, this could be a real grudge match. They're in the same home, unlike the previous games in the league. So we actually have an excellent camera setup here. They've done a wonderful job with the two-player mat and everything. So
Uh,
yeah, this should be great. We're really looking forward to it.
Connor, in your experience, who do you think is favored in this matchup?
I have played both sides of this matchup, and I think both decks are fairly aggressive, fairly numbers heavy, but I would personally give the edge to KO because he is aggressive and numbers heavy with a bunch of armor, as opposed to Azalea, who is mostly naked and does not want to block with the armor that she has because it's very synergistic and very, very powerful.
And not to mention, we'll get to see if the new cards from the KO Armory deck come into play at all. Savage Sash, giving KO an even bigger fridge to block out those big dominated red in the ledgers. Anyway, with that, we'll throw over to the gameplay. We have the high roll coming in here, is it? Yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
who's going first. Oh, it was a rock, paper, scissors dice, actually. We should get some of those. Those are cool.
I would bet money that the person going first's name is going to start with Carlo.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that's why Connor is qualified for the Pro Tour with predictive skills like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's inauspicious start here for Carlos there.
There's been a dexterity issue. He's obviously feeling the pressure.
I imagine there's some amount of pressure playing in the same room as your opponent. You can't really go full KO on them.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, that
Imagine playing card games against someone in the same room as you.
in the flesh and blood.
That would be crazy.
What?
But yeah, as you touched on, Savage Sash, man, what a card. Um, and it does make a huge difference here against Azalea because unlike Tunic, it's going to give the two block, which can cover some of Azalea's really powerful on hits or potentially dominated effects, and then still give you the resources to have a really powerful turn later on.
All right. It looks like Carlotta is going first here. She's got the counter on Tunic. Um, can't really see her hand, but I can see Carlos has drawn one of those KO hands that actually blocks 12. 12? Maybe.
Yeah,
There's a wind up in there somewhere.
more common than public conception. I think those non blocks do a lot of PR for KO's ability to block. But when he's not drawing one of those non blocks, there's a lot of three blocks in that deck. So if he needs to block, he really can turtle up a bit.
All right, we have a Death Dealer activation pitching a red. Oh, that's an infecting shot pitched, which we love to see because means resources are going to be tight here. Red in the ledger, drawing.
One cost arrow as well, and it looks like Carlotta might have drawn another red in the ledger here, which is pretty unfortunate. I think there's a Bolton shot in hand as well, by the looks of it.
Yeah, they
So
don't see many buffs in that hand.
yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see. She's gonna go for the blind Azalea here.
that is a stunning Azalea, by the way.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh,
It's even got the A for ace. I think that's a
that's.
Bolton shot. I can't tell what color it
I
is.
think that's a blue. Oh,
Oof, if it is a blue, then this is a rough one. Don't want to see the blues off the top. They want to be in that pitch zone.
yeah. We
Okay.
have a
Lace
lace
with
with.
inertia. I don't think KO necessarily struggles to use his whole hand regularly, but yeah, we get the confirmation that that is a blue Bolton shot for sure, which isn't quite ideal, but it is still dominated and it could leak through this inertia. And perhaps Carlos does want to set up an arsenal, so could still be relevant here for Carlotta.
Hmm.
And we do know that there's still a red in the ledger in the hand as well, so could end up setting up something pretty powerful with that the next turn.
Right. Carlos playing it safe here, giving up 2 block in armor, generating that might turn 1 going into his first turn as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's powerful stuff. It's interesting that he decided that the inertia was enough, just because obviously Azalea has a lot of powerful on hits that he might have to worry about later on. But when you're getting the might as well, it's just gonna let him really send a powerful turn immediately here, hopefully.
Okay, my trigger. Let's see what we've got here coming out of
No,
Carlos.
it's definitely triggering.
I hate you. Right.
And Carlos appears to have forgotten that his mandible claw doesn't have go again unless he discarded a card. Surely there's no tricks up his sleeve here, right, Ian?
There's absolutely no way to discard a card in KO. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I
Just
think Carlotta's got off real easy here.
it's okay. I hear Azalea really likes to block. Yeah, she blocks incredibly well. That's what you said earlier, right?
Yeah. That was pretty much exactly it. Oh, Carlotta tried to take that damage before he could discard the wind up. Just didn't quite get there in time, so it does
No.
end up with that go again.
Uh,
Uh,
that I hear that's how it works. If you do it quick enough, your opponent doesn't really have a say in the matter.
exactly, especially in a league that means absolutely nothing. Surely.
And a pack hunt.
All right.
Taking
These are
the inertia anyway.
yeah. But he doesn't know what he's going to draw. I guess
Yeah.
it's possible he wants a little bit more setup. And maybe he just wanted that might as well, just to really push damage and get Azalea to a life total where she needs to block because, she doesn't block very well. So,
True. And I love this pack hunt having absolutely no text against Azalea.
yeah.
I'll just keep these cards. It's fine.
Sometimes it might get your second arrow or
Yeah.
something, but
The worse and or more expensive arrow in your hand.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, for the most part, Azalea does just want to watch their opponent do ever so slightly less damage than you're able to do and laugh at them afterwards.
Okay, Carlotta is really thinking on this block. So there may actually be some defending being done here.
Yeah, it's also a case of, it might have been that she actually did want to block with that intimidated card.
Take 6.
Take 6 down to 30. We're going to see a full 5 card hand from Carlotta, the first of the game here. Hopefully, she can crack back for something pretty significant, and at the very least, maybe get some of that armor out of Carlos.
Oop.
We see that red in the ledger.
Revealing a Ravenous Rabble from that opt. Well, not revealing, but it's
but kind of revealing.
dexterity.
Not quite on purpose, revealing.
Dexterity issues everywhere today.
That one is going on the bottom, so it'd be interesting to see if there's further top deck manipulation or if Carlotta just wants to send the red in the ledger from Arsenal rather than loading with Death Dealer here.
You know.
Oh, there was a rabble in hand. And there's another rabble on top. We've got all 3 rabbles in play here.
We have Assembletron.
Yeah.
Carlotta does not. I can only see her hands, but she did not look happy about that. I imagine she was hoping to see either an arrow to dominate or a buff on top of your deck.
Yeah, with the thinking as well, it could be a case that it might have been a somewhat arrow heavy hand where she wanted to block with, again, the arrow that got intimidated and see a buff on top so that she can potentially use Death Dealer after putting a buff in with Azalea's hero text.
All right, let's see what the next play is here. Is it? Ooh.
Yeah, I think this one will be the one that lets us know basically whether or not Carlotta intends to activate Death Dealer.
There we are.
And yeah, it looks like it's going to be the case. Now, I've found that when I do this, it's either going to be a blue on top or an arrow that I absolutely would have loved to dominate because Ravenous Rebel is not my friend.
That's true. Connor,
Oh, there you go. It's the resource card.
Connor, you famously have revealed Ravenous Rebel revealing a blue in your Phi deck.
Oh yeah, an absurd amount of times. I genuinely think the card just attacks for 2. That is my life.
Right.
I don't understand why so many people play this thing that just attacks for 2 go again.
Right. We have a Death Dealer activation loading a red Bolton shot.
Okay.
And just a red Bolton shot for 4.
Yeah, so I think it was a case that Carlotta really wanted to see some buffs off the top and couldn't quite get there. But there could still be some tricks up the sleeve given that Bullseye Bracers and Snapdragon Scalers are on the table.
No, looks like just taking 4. That seems like what I do. I've played a fair bit of KO in my time. And yeah, if it's flat damage, I can do flat damage and I can do flat damage better. That's all Carlos is thinking right now.
Absolutely. There are times where he is going to need to block in this matchup, but just sending 12 vanilla damage or even less actually. Sorry, because one of the rebels was revealing a yellow. It was only 11
Yeah.
vanilla
We
damage.
have runner with it go again, triggering runner's ability to make another agility. Those are some stunning agility tokens as well. I believe they're signed, and I can't tell from this distance. They might be cold foil.
Might be cold foil, might be rainbow foil, might not be foil at all. But
I have it on
he's
good.
also got that altered Kayo. It looks
Yeah,
really nice.
I have it on good authority that those cold foil agilities give extra go again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super duper go again. You get 2 action points off of the cold foil
yeah.
agilities.
Oh, he said the name of the movie. It's Go Again Gaming.
We're here for product placement.
Right.
Az didn't get us on here just to talk about this game. We
Yeah.
obviously have to talk him up as well.
Certainly not for a charm.
What chair?
People on the
Now,
internet famously love Irish people.
yeah, I can't imagine why.
Oh, and we have a discard of a mighty wind up triggering KO plus the
So
wind up ability making two
that
mites.
is all 4 cards though. So this does get go again, but it is a bit of an empty threat, so to speak.
Yeah,
But
it's a good setup for the next turn.
yeah, absolutely. No, the agility and 2 mites going into the next turn is really big, and Carlotta's already down to 20 here, so
Yeah,
we'll have to see how disruptive this next turn can be. She'll be hoping for something big here.
yeah. There's not a lot Azalea can do once you start forcing blocks out of them. They can't really hit those double-digit numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Especially all of the buffs blocking for 2. You really do just want to play those on offense rather than throw them in front of attacks.
Absolutely, you don't really want to throw four of them under a swing bait just for a go again.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Okay, as it looks
So,
like we're thinking about the opt.
and it's gone to the bottom.
Yeah,
And it was revealing that amplifying arrow. And
yeah.
oh, we're going to go for the blind Azalea.
I imagine Carlotta is in a situation where she needs either a buff or a dominate. So yeah,
Yeah,
exactly what you want there.
we get the lace with frailty. I'd imagine we're about to see some Death Dealer shenanigans. The tunic counter's up too, so it could potentially be used to just draw a card if Carlotta's hand is resource light here.
And I'm just looking at that Azalea altar, and I'm so jealous.
The little ace card symbol is awesome. Really, really cool.
Oh,
Both
nice.
of the Carls in the house have really got blinged out decks here.
This is incredible. Anyway, we've got a Bolton shot coming in here for seven go again, or six go again. It's yellow.
Yeah,
With a frailty attached, but more importantly is go again and reload.
yeah. So we'll see how Carlos evaluates this. Maybe get an idea of how strong his hand is based on whether he just eats this reload. But Carlotta has 3 cards left in her hand, so you have to think that something here is going to end up in this arsenal, whether through bullseye bracers or Bolton shot or maybe potentially a codex.
Absolutely. But we have seen Carlos throughout this league just eat damage in unbelievable ways just to keep a hand.
Yeah, and just send back even more damage.
Never seen someone take a nourishing full in the face like that. And like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay, I guess.
Okay, I'm just gonna win anyway, actually. Um, so yeah, it's an interesting one because if it is something like a codex, this reload here doesn't matter at all, and it could
Oh.
potentially follow a really big red in the ledger or something because we do know there's one in the grave.
Oh, well, he's taking that.
He has decided that reload is not scary enough, and it looks like Carlotta's having a think here, getting out the old frailty token.
Yeah. See if she goes for the reload. Is it a codex or is it a bullseye bracers activation?
It is premeditate,
Premeditation.
premeditate,
Codex.
codex. So it's going to be a red in the ledger, I would imagine, for 11 here.
Oh, you could take one of those perfectly fine ravenous rebels. No,
Wait, did we end up with no red in the ledgers in the bin?
correct. We put them
Oh, they
to.
were all put on the bottom.
Yeah. If you're
Okay, well,
Carlos
the
here,
Bolton shop definitely isn't quite as good, but it's still going to be pushing quite a lot of damage.
I imagine if I'm Carlos here, I'm taking the runner just to keep my agilities ticking over.
Hmm. That makes a lot of sense. That claw is not likely to be pushing a whole lot of damage next turn with two frailties on the board, and we could see Carlotta with a whole rake of ponders if this does connect.
That's true. That's true. That's a lot of options there for Carlotta for her arsenal.
A lot of pondering to do at the end of her turn potentially. Oh, and of course, incredibly relevantly, Carlos is off Arsenal here, so he is also going to need to choose a card to get back for a codec.
That's why I think it's that runner.
We'll see what he decides to do. It could also potentially change depending on whether he intends on sending it this turn. Given that he has two frailties, he might decide that leaving it in Arsenal for a turn is better.
Yeah.
But
Two mights kind of cancel out the two frailties though as well, so you never know.
yeah, that is very true.
Let's see what happens.
Carlos really having a think here.
The countdown music is already playing in my head. Hopefully,
Carlotta's just got to be putting him under pressure here.
uh,
Eyeballing him. What are you going to do? 10 damage staring you in the face.
yeah,
Can't quite see what's going on in Carlos's hand.
I think I caught a glimpse of a blood rush bellow.
Oh, well, that would certainly be a way to cancel out some frailty tokens. And we could see a real drag race here if he just eats this 10.
I can't help but think you would at least shove some armor here. And because it could be a Sash turn, we might get to see the power of Savage Sash depending on the contents of his hand as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially he did go for that runner by the looks of it, and he's choosing to discard a blue riled up.
This is a tough one here. Let's find out. All right, we have 10 coming in.
Got to get the second dice out. These are big numbers. Not messing around anymore. Got those double digits.
Yes, Carlos, I think you know what that one is. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Take it.
Oh, just eating the whole lot. Yep.
Saving
We'll
the,
see now.
saving the armor for the potential red in the ledger in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Carlos did a little bit of pointing to the flashback there, probably reminiscing as to what it might have done if he had blocked with it on that first Bolton shot. Maybe he hits that Codex.
Three that looked like two fatigue shots and taking from that from the three
Okay.
ponders as well.
Well, fatigue shot's very good in the matchup, but you don't really want to see two of them,
You want
especially
them?
not if they're red. But the tunic counter kind of negates that.
Okay, we've running. Oh,
Oh, very interesting. Carlos both saying frailties be damned and also this blood rush fellow be damned. Now, it could be a case that maybe there's more than one non-attack in his hand, but
maybe.
even then you can pitch that non-attack and potentially arsenal the blood rush fellow. So it's a really interesting decision to see him pitch one here.
All right. Carlotta is also taking six. We've got a quick one here on our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, to be fair, somewhat to be expected. Both heroes pretty much better at blocking than attacking, or better at attacking than
Oh,
blocking. Oh, well, we were right. There was two blood rushes. Still very interesting to see him, rather than play either of them or arsenal one of them, to just send numbers here. But I suppose, like we said, you just got to get Azalea into that threshold where she has to block as soon as possible because those two blocks are very, very powerful coming forward and not so powerful on the way back.
yeah. You know what here? Swing big. James White's biggest mistake.
Yeah, which is crazy because, Spectra exists. But we digress. You're still doing a great job, James.
We love you, please.
we love you.
Let's see. Carlotta's really thinking about this one now. She's at 14. Do you take 8, go to 6? And
Yeah,
then
I can't imagine the value of the Quicken is coming into context too much here just because 8 is a lot for an Azalea to block out. But let's see how she chooses to handle it.
Yeah, and we're in a situation here where 6 means every single card in Kayo's hand becomes lethal.
Yeah, exactly. Which is exactly that life threshold that we're talking about that she does need to worry about. Now, we have seen there's two fatigue shots in the hand, so depending on what she chose to arsenal, We could potentially see a block from one of those
I think
just to
there's
save a bit of life.
two buffs in the hand. Oh, we like to live
We're
dangerously.
we're looking at that life total, and she is going down to 6.
Yeah, Brutes and Azaleas win when the life totals go down this quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Be interesting to see how Carlos chooses to use this fridge now that he's all the way down to 13. Oh, it's another fatigue shot in Arsenal. So is that 2 fatigue shots in hand and a
I think
fatigue shot in
it's one
Arsenal?
in Arsenal and one in hand. I think
Okay.
one got Arsenal off a ponder. So
We see a
Rain
Rain
Race.
Razors on the top. We still have the bullseyes and the snap, so this could get scary fast for Carlos.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a flashback turn if I would put any money on anything.
Yeah, no,
If
absolutely. This seems like it could be a very valuable flashback turn, so we'll have to see how Carlotta chooses to navigate around that. Ideally, if possible, she would probably want to only have one card left in hand when she's sending her first attack here, just so that she can still get full value out of arsenaling it if the flashback does come out.
not the death whistle.
Ooh. So we're going to say goodbye to that Rain Razors and hello to something with Dominate. Be interesting to see what Carlotta chooses here, whether we're just going to see Fatigue Shot swapped out for Fatigue Shot Deluxe, or if she goes for that famous red in the ledger, or something different altogether.
I think I like Red in the Ledger here, but I don't think it matters now as much at this point in the game because KO only needs to attack you once per turn.
Yeah, no, that's true. But he does have that agility, which does increase the value of red in the ledger at least a
That's true.
little bit.
You need to get it over at least what? Two, four, six.
It's a lot of armor.
You need at least to hit 11 points of value to threaten a non-hit at all here.
Yeah, so that would be red in the ledger plus 2 buffs, which is very achievable. It could potentially be 3 buffs in hand, but I don't believe it is. We're pretty sure there's a fatigue shot in the hand, right?
Yeah, and I think if I'm threatened with anything other than Red in the Ledger, I don't even give you the extra card. I would just give you the.
The armor, yeah, absolutely. So this is where that big armor lead for Carlos is going to come in here. Now that things are getting tight towards the end of the game, he can cash in on that and potentially save an extra couple of cards to pressure Carlotta into some blocks next turn.
Yeah, the life totals are kind of misleading in these points in the game because you have to factor in all that fridge.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
the best.
Carlotta is actually at 6. Carlos is actually at what? 15, 17,
Right,
19, 20, 21 if he wants to block with the sash twice. So, yeah.
we've got our Red in the Ledger in Arsenal now, dominated from Azalea.
Yeah. Tends to be what follows and not the death whistle. And it is an inertia, which, if it does connect, is a pretty powerful one
And
because
a
it
take
normally
it, and we
means.
get that tunic value.
Yeah.
So that is a Red in the Ledger for 11.
Yeah. And again, that inertia with Red on the Ledger is a pretty powerful synergy for an opponent that doesn't want to block it because obviously it's hard to take one action and use all the cards in your hand.
It's almost like Carlos could see the future and got rid of those two Blood Rush fellows, knowing that one in Arsenal wasn't going to do him any good.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carlotta relevantly does still have a card in hand here, so Carlos may be considering putting the flesh bag out here. Now, obviously, it's not going to cause any intellect penalty, but with those snaps and bullseye bracers still up, and with the life totals getting close as they are, it could still be worth putting it in front here, especially given that the arrow has dominate as well.
Yeah. Everyone always talks up scaling flashback because it can get so much value. You can block 8 damage by taking a card out of their hand instead of just the two. But sometimes just blocking two is enough. You need to just get yourself over the edge. You need to finish the game.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. No, there's actually a couple of head pieces that block 2 in the game that are fairly playable. I've heard, the likes of Crown of Providence, Balance of Justice. It 2 block on your headpiece cannot be underestimated. It is just powerful.
I see what happens here. I think Carlos has given up, knowing that he can't full cover it. So he's just going to prevent as much damage as he possibly can here. Trigger Apex Bonebreaker for a might from the pack hunt. And he's probably just going to throw something back, knowing that the life totals are so low.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry, he can only cover 10 because of the one block already on the Bone Breaker. So it looks like we could see that inertia be relevant unless Carlos has some sort of wind up in his hand or something to that effect. This is what Carlotta needed. Leaking damage, providing disruption. So hopefully she can convert this into some more tempo and get back into it a bit.
I think it's still a real problem when your KO opponent is going to throw 7 at you and your life total is 6.
Yeah, that is more than six,
It is more than 6.
which means that
It's
Carlotta's going to have to give up some of those precious, precious cards in hand.
it becomes a real problem as well when you're forced into situations where you have to think about giving your armor because that um, Skullbone cross wrap is so key to how Azalea plays.
Yeah, absolutely. The information off of it almost gives her an extra intellect. It's incredibly powerful. And it can be really awkward to arsenal certain cards when you don't have cross wrap. Whereas when you have it, you always know you've got that Azalea ability plus cross wrap combo to kind of filter through.
And there we have it. A Bear Fangs discarding a Bear Fangs coming in for 10.
Carlos is bearing a lot of fangs here.
Yeah, we've got 9 damage coming in. That is 33% more than Carlotta's life total.
That is her life total upside down.
Wow. As please have us back. Apologize for Connor.
Yeah, I apologize for Connor too. Connor sucks.
He can't help it.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely no filter over here. It just goes straight from brain to mouth. Now, Carlotta understandably having a think here. This is a lot more damage than she has got to give. So she's going to have to give something here. She's just got to figure out what.
Yeah, the bare minimum is 2 cards, and then you really put yourself in that spot where Reckless Swing is just lethal.
Yeah, absolutely. Let alone KO's ability to just absolutely sling damage over. And obviously, just with the nature of tempo, the more cards Carlotta gives, the more cards Carlos is going to be able to keep. So,
And he
yeah,
still has 4 armor.
yeah, that armor is a big deal.
How did he get his hands on a Savage Sash? They've been hard to
I'm sure it's to Carlotta's great sadness at the moment because that 11 fridge with a deck as aggressive as KO is just nonsense when you're Azalea trying to push through some powerful on hits.
I know this is the league that means nothing, but Carlotta is definitely not definitely feeling the pressure now.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can you win absolutely nothing if your KO opponent is throwing this much damage at you?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, she's guaranteed to win absolutely nothing. Oh, but nevertheless, the bragging rights of the house of Carlos and Carlotta is on the line here,
Yeah.
and you can tell that it means a lot to her. She's thinking pretty hard about this one.
Yeah, who becomes the true owner of the Fabritorium?
Yeah, absolutely. Who's the better Carlo? This is deciding it.
I had that experience at Worlds. Yeah, so I had to give up the rights to the name Ian.
I mean, Ian Zhang is like okay at Flesh and Blood. I heard.
He's good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if you
And
check the Elo boards, he's like up there somewhere. I
yeah,
wonder, looking at the equipment, looking at the hand in this game state, if Carlotta's looking at those Snapdragon scalers and thinking, maybe just maybe these could have been perch grapplers.
I could see her considering to give up the tunic right now because I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You're not going to see a third counter on that tunic.
no, absolutely. So is that two arrows? No, it looks like an arrow and a buff
Yeah, Seeking
and the
Destroyer.
tunic. And we're going to three, so not quite in range of one reckless swing. And that inertia is getting some value.
But what about second reckless swing?
Well, she is in range of two reckless swings, but I don't think there's a whole lot she can say about that. She's got to make sure she sends something big over here. And choosing to keep that card on top of cross wrap, that's a
That
good
was
start.
very quick.
Yeah, very, very fast, actually.
I think that's the quickest up she's had all game.
The quickest
Ooh.
opt in the West. And it's an infecting shot coming over for 8 dominate with a seek and destroy chaser. But 8 is not quite 10. Now, with a blood rot, it's technically 10, but Carlos still has fridge here, still has cards in hand.
Yeah,
So,
it's not quite 14 is the real problem.
yeah, exactly.
I think I see an E-strike in Carlos's hand. There's a good chance that I would give up a card here. Throwback E-strike for 8.
Yeah, absolutely. Depends on the other cards in his hand as well.
Oh,
I
that,
could see him give up the E-strike. It is good for Carlotta here that this is 8, which means a 3 block plus armor only covers 7. And
yeah.
that means once again that Seek and Destroy esque on hit could be very relevant as Carlos may not be able to use all of the cards in his hand, but we'll see. That Savage Sash still up could prove a big problem here in terms of Carlos's ability to use all those cards as well. So even if he's resource light, the Sash might be able to patch up that problem.
It's fine. I don't know what you're talking about. It was included in a starter product. It is a fine and reasonable card for people to have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the Blitz precons, right? Like you're not going to win any major events by registering a card that's in a Blitz precon. That would be ridiculous. Oh, we're seeing the Sash on defense here.
So that's 2.
This is 4 block here. Is Carlos keeping the cards in hand? Does he think he can finish Carlotta off? Oh, he does.
That means that E-strike is coming in for go again.
Yeah, almost certainly. And we've got a couple of on hits here for Carlotta. Carlos at a functional 4 here, should he choose to eat this blood rot. But it seems like Carlos once again has seen red,
Yeah.
and not in the ledger. Just
Yeah.
seen red in his own hand, and he's going to try and finish Carlotta off here, I think. Or at
Somehow,
least take the whole hand.
somehow, if this is 6 into 6, I don't see this going very well for
It does look like
Azalea Flip.
Carlotta has drawn a pretty good blocking hand. There's only one buff there, I think. It looks like Infecting Shot, Red in the Ledger, Knock, and a Lace with Blood Rot, I think.
Let's see
So
if
that 2 block does suck, but ideally, if he only sends 9 somehow here, it's a bad start to sending 9.
Yeah, I was right about that in Lightning Strike, so I assume this is coming in for go again.
6 go again into, it's got to be at least 6 on the backswing. Could even be something like a swing big for 8. And we are seeing that cross trap block comes out. That makes a lot of sense here, given there's no arsenal to protect, and Carlotta's in survival mode. Oh, double thinking on that one though. I suppose worst comes to worst, she can put it in front of the card that follows this.
Absolutely. This is a rough spot for an Azalea player to find themselves in, where their hand doesn't really do what they needed to do unless they keep, all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to pitch an arrow and a buff, and you might get to keep one of these cards if Carlos is feeling particularly generous, but I have a feeling we're going to see the whole hand come down here. And if there's something like a pack hunt from Carlos, it could just be lights out.
Okay, we have 6 blocked, 6 on 6, and it's a command and conquer.
Well, shockingly, Kayo has managed to send at least 6 again. So it looks like we're probably going to see the rest of Carlotta's hand dropped here into a full tempo turn for Carlos. Now, if he doesn't see something like an agility, we might see him prized into a scab skins roll, which maybe, just maybe, if the gods of luck are on Carlotta's side, a 1 could save her here.
Oh no, we have a couple locals playing KO, including myself. I've put a lot of time into learning when you should roll scab skins, and one of them has the put a lot of time into rolling scab skins.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, surely there's no better educator than experience. So the
Yeah,
more ones you roll, the more you know that rolling a 1 is actually really, 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 really bad and will
yeah.
lose you games.
Most gamblers straight quit before they strike it big, right?
Yeah, exactly. Surely this 7th 1 in a row is going to be my last one. The 6s, they're on the horizon.
50% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah, absolutely. That actually basically is the scabs maths, I heard. There's been some equations flying around, and honestly, I think it boils down to being about as simple as that.
Okay, that is a 5, and yeah,
Choosing to give the cross wrap here just to stay on 3, which makes a lot of sense given that a certain defense reaction is in Carlos's deck that could just spell the end of the game altogether for Carlotta if she does go to 2,
yeah.
assuming that she gets to attack again at some point.
There's been a lot of KO players cutting Reckless Swing and saying that, oh, the threat of it matters, and I don't think that's true.
Yeah, no. I think the reckless swing, meaning that your opponent can't go to 2 or potentially can't even go to 4 if you're on 2 of them,
Uh,
is just absolutely huge. I think it's worth the risk of hitting it off something like a wild ride or something. Oh, it looks like Carlotta might be thinking about keeping a card here, or possibly just discussing lines with Carlos.
the benefit of really having someone in person.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like she was talking about maybe she may have dominated with something with Azalea. Maybe the blind activation saves her, but it looks like she's just drawing back up and sending it back over to Carlos.
I've seen many a blind Azalea activation in Dublin end poorly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's hard not to blind Azalea
Are
when you
losing.
got no cross wrap and you're losing. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see what Carlos throws here. Uh, Big thinks
Yeah, absolutely. It's squeaky bum time, as you might call it. The very, very end of the game here, likely.
Yeah. Fortunately, anything he throws here requires Carlotta to give at least 2 cards.
Yeah, yeah.
She
Maximum respect for sure.
she no longer has a say in the matter, and depending on what it is, it could be 3, depending on the composition of her hand as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Relevantly, she does still have bullseyes here. So there is a world where if she only has to block with 3 cards here, she could send a 0 cost arrow over, potentially claw back some tempo. And now that Carlos's fridge is gone, it really is just 4-3. So if Carlos does manage to lose the tempo here, the game really is back on.
Ooh, almost.
Oh,
Maybe.
Carlotta's excited.
That looks like he's about to attack with a beast within.
If Carlos has it here, I don't think he thinks this long. So I think
No.
Carlotta's getting excited. Maybe I get to play another card this game. I'd
Ah,
imagine Carlos has to be talking about some sort of bad beats here because she looks far too excited. Oh, wow. I
Carla
wonder.
Carlotta must be thrilled she gets to take a relevant game action next turn.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder, is there maybe a wind up or something in the hand that Carlos chose not to roll scabs there? But he could just be like me, and maybe Variance absolutely despises him. So he fears losing the game to scabs, but maybe he loses the game to not rolling scabs.
It is
We're gonna
true.
find out.
You're like a probability vacuum.
Yeah. No, like no. It's bad. It's real bad.
What is the worst card you could draw every time off any draw that will go in your arsenal? Oh, Wrecker Rob, every time.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I think it was something ridiculous like the first 5 or 6 times I played a Savage Feast with no go again into drawing a blind card to Arsenal. It was a wrecker romp.
That beast within, though, also not a great arsenal target, so. But it is 6. It represents 2 cards from Carlotta here at least, so you need 1 arrow and a buff,
It
or.
it looks like Carolina has a Spire Sniping, an Amplifying Arrow, a Read the Glide Path, and that might be a premeditate or a take aim. I can't see. She's hiding it behind that Spire Sniping.
Well, I think she's thinking about blocking with those 2 at the minute.
It
So
looks that way.
we'll have to see what's going on here. What's going through your head in this situation, Connor?
Uh, I gotta survive,
Yeah.
and this is my opening. This is when I'm gonna get a chance to come back. But if it is buff plus arrow here, Carlotta does open the door to reckless swing. But sometimes you just have to. You've got to try and play to your outs, and her out is sending back some numbers here and getting back some tempo.
Yeah. What about maybe she's thinking about blocking with 1 card and just letting it be over?
I
I mean,
don't think so. Not with the house bragging rights on the line. Surely.
but it says there in the name, there's nothing on the line.
Not in this one. This one's the big one.
Gone to the big two.
Ooh, the scary, scary two. But two is also the number of cards that Carlotta's going to get to
Yeah,
keep here. And it looks like she's thinking about Bullseye Bracering in this amplifying arrow, which would
yeah,
be
that's a read the
buff.
glide path in her hand.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Needs
that
to
would be coming
see.
over for what? 3 + 3 is 6, but you add one more, it would be 7, I think.
Well, maybe she's looking for a dominate here. A zero cost underneath the top
Absolutely.
here.
That
Oh,
could
oh,
potentially
that was
just
quick.
finish Carlos off if it's a 4 to attack. Oh my god, it's drill shot.
It's a seven. It's seven coming in.
If Carlos doesn't have reckless swing here,
The game
it might
is
be
over.
over.
Are we over?
This would be an incredible win for Carlotta.
And that's
And
it.
there it is, the fist bump comes out. My word. What a game. That is an insane finish.
Yeah, it looked.
Carlotta choosing to not play around that reckless swing and getting perfectly rewarded. Carlos choosing not to trust the dice and getting perfectly punished.
What a game. A
That
nice. It
was
was.
fantastic. And relevantly, Carlotta also gets to put a third -1 counter on Carlos's scabs.
That was fast and furious.
Yeah, absolutely. That was incredibly aggressive. There is no messing around in the Carlo household.
Absolutely not. The Fabritorium now belongs to Carlotta.
Yeah, absolutely.
That
Hopefully, we'll see a rematch at some point. I'd really like to see Carlos fight back for those bragging rights, but ultimately, it does mean absolutely nothing, and that's a requirement. They have to sign a contract going into the league
yeah,
that they're not going to be upset about the results of these games.
I heard that from Az.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, legally binding for sure.
No, that
I think
was
as is like a lawyer or something, right? Like he he looks like a lawyer.
yeah, that's no incredible game from Carlos and Carlotta. Heart goes out to Carlos there. That's a rough way for it to end.
It really, really is. Especially like even the fact that Beast Within was the best attack in his hand. Beast Within, listen, you don't want to arsenal it, you don't really want to keep it, but you don't want to attack with it either. What you want to do is discard
Yeah, you want
it.
it to go in the bin.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
But no, that was still incredible game. Real pleasure to watch it. I'd like to thank Az for having us on the channel.
absolutely. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that, that's
incredible
that's
game.
going to be us.
Great.
Thanks for watching another game from the league that means absolutely nothing here on Go Again Gaming. I've been Connor.
And I've been Ian. If you want to keep an eye on us, we will hopefully be producing some content in 2024
Yeah,
under the name Fab Versus.
yeah. You can find us on Twitter at versus Fab. So if you want to give us a follow and pressure us into potentially releasing some content of our own, we would absolutely love that. But yeah, if you've tolerated us this far, then thanks very much for watching.
Would be great to have you. I've been Ian, and you can find me on Twitter at findalls_spirit.
Yeah, and I'm at Edge of Air.
So if you're looking for lukewarm to bad takes about Flesh and Blood,
And absolutely terrible sense of humor with just a ludicrous amount of sarcasm.
it's fine. That's what the Irish Charm is for. It covers all of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
No, no. Being Irish is about all we have going for us.
so thank you again. Thank you to Az for having us. Can't wait to be back.
Yeah.
And goodbye.
Looking forward to seeing the rest of the league.